what a baseball life was for a kid from Iowa when he's 9 years old, got an autographed ball from Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, 1928. I was the youngest pitcher to ever start, win, and complete a major league game.
Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher Bob Feller today on Now I've Heard Everything. I'm Buell Thompson. Iowa farm boy Bob Feller made his Major League Baseball debut when he was just 17 years old. The Cleveland Indians signed him to a contract with a signing bonus of $1 and an autographed baseball. Well, on July 19th, 1936, he first appeared in a game as a reliever, did very well. His first start came just a month later, and he entered that game, the 17-year-old. He struck out 15 batters and won the game, and that launched an 18-season career, interrupted by 4 years of service in the military during World War II, during which Bob Feller established himself as one of the greatest all-time pitchers in baseball. Now, during that career, he pitched 3 no-hitters, including one on opening day 1940. Now, that's the only time any pitcher has ever done that, a no-hitter on opening day. That was the first of his 3. Now, in 1990, Bob Feller teamed up with veteran writer Bill Gilbert to write his autobiography, a memoir called Now Pitching Bob Feller. And Bob and Bill and I sat down to talk about the book one day in the spring of 1990, actually just a few days after the 50th anniversary of his opening day no-hitter. So in just a moment, our conversation.
Have you ever opened a time capsule? You're about to. This interview is from national radio personality Bill Thompson's 30-year interview archive. Enjoy.
So here now, from 1990, writer Bill Gilbert and Hall of Famer Bob Feller. What inspired the two of you to write this book? Why now?
Well, I have written I'm Bob Feller speaking now. I wrote the book Strikeout Story back in 1946 and 7 when I broke the Major League strikeout record and had a win in the All-Star game in Fenway Park. Also pitched a no-hitter in the stadium over here in Yankee Stadium, that is. And I traveled a lot throughout the country and spent 4 years in the war, World War II. And the real field of dreams was back in Iowa on the farm where my father built the ballpark in 1931, which is called the Oakview Team, overlooking the Raccoon River with all the oak trees near our farm, which is about 30 miles west of Des Moines on Interstate 80. And my career, and after my career, I was in different businesses, hotel, did a lot of promotions for a different corporation, did Mutual Game of the Day in 1958, and done a lot of radio and TV. But now I'm with the Cleveland Baseball Club. I coach in spring training, run the Cleveland Indian Speakers Bureau. I've also coached in Japan, played ball in Europe, recently in the Old Timers games, and visited most of the countries in the free world. I think that I had a story to tell what a baseball life was for a kid from Iowa when he's 9 years old, got an autographed ball from Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig, 1928. And I think it's the nostalgia. When I was the youngest pitcher to ever start, win, and complete a major league game. In fact, I got my first start right here, first appearance in Washington, D.C., right here in a major league game, regular scheduled game. Hopefully that this will be something that the real true sports fan will like, of all sports and of all ages.
Every 9-year-old who wants to get into baseball dreams of seeing his face in the Hall of Fame someday. So few of them get in there. Did you think that you would be in the Hall of Fame someday?
I never gave that much of a thought. My thoughts were I always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. I had a lot of confidence because my father built confidence in me by letting me know that he trusted me and had a lot of confidence in doing the job on the farm, milking the cows, picking the corn, doing these things by myself, and he could do something else in the fields and in the farm work, doing my chores and studying, going to school, participating in the summertime in the summer vacation Bible school for a few hours every day, playing 4 years in the American Legion. I had great coaches, good managers, good scouts that signed me, became general manager. I had a lot of help from a lot of people in school as well as later. And no man is an island. I listened to the adults and listened to my parents and trained real hard. Never had any idea of being anything but a successful Major League ball player. The Hall of Fame never really entered into my mind. Of course, it did when I became a player, because I was in the Cooperstown in 1940. the year after they opened it with our team, with the Indians, playing the game at the Cooperstown Hall of Fame game, which is an annual event. And in the meantime, I was successful, worked hard at it. Good Lord gave me a great arm, great parents. A lot of people around me helped me along, and I appreciated that. No one can do it yourself. You know, when you think you can, you're not immortal.
Bill, how did you get involved in the writing of the book?
Bob and I have known each other for some years, Bill, and after the success of a book I wrote with Duke Snyder, the Duke of Flatbush, there was a lot of interest in players from that era and earlier, and we thought that it would be a good way of recording what Major League Baseball was like in Bob's time. Bob and Joe DiMaggio were rookies in the same year in 1936, and we thought that that a story by one of the giants of that time would make for a good book. And I thought, from my standpoint, that Bob was such a dominating pitcher. I think, frankly, to an extent that maybe no one has been since, including Koufax in his great years and some other pitchers, that that it would be a good idea to record, in Bob's own words, the story of how. Of that greatness. When he went into the Navy 2 days after Pearl Harbor, he was 22 years old and had already won 109 games in the major leagues. Most major league pitchers go a whole career and don't win that many. And then he came back in 46, picked right up and led both leagues in everything. His first year out after missing 4 seasons because of wartime service in the Navy. And I thought that that the story of this dominating star was one that certainly would make fascinating reading for those who remember him and for those who might be interested in learning about him.
Now, is it coincidence that you chose as the picture for the cover a picture of you with a big grin on your face? You had fun when they took that picture. Did you have fun during
Well, I was warming up, right, going to pitch batting practice in Cleveland in the early 50s on that picture. Then, of course, on the back of it, I have a current picture taken in 1949 with my number and my name on it, which you can tell it's a little different because of the little gray hair there, and the difference in the sweatshirt and the difference in the uniform. I think it was a great cover, and it's a great jacket for the book, and the name of it was difficult to come by. Who really discovered and found the name for both you Bills here? I really don't know. Maybe Bill Gilbert might know who really named it. We talked about it.
I will admit to that.
You admit to that. Well,
It's a
now
takeoff
pitching.
on the PA announcer saying now pitching Bob Feller.
Yeah, sure. When you bring a relief pitcher in, and I did relieve a little bit, they say now pitching whoever it may be, Bob Feller, Sandy Koufax, Walter Johnson, or Cy Young. And but they don't usually say that. When I used to announce the games on a megaphone prior to the game, they'd have, and the batteries for today's game for the Washington Senators, the popcorn and peanuts, and for Cleveland, ice cream and candy bars, or whatever they may be saying. But it's a good, catchy title. But I think the book's got great words in it. Bill did a very fine job, and we selected a lot of pictures which are a lot of people have never ever seen.
After this short break, Bob Feller explains his unique connection to Babe Ruth.
Are you enjoying this conversation so far?
And would you like to get a copy of the book we're talking about?
Just tap the link in our show notes or visit our website, heardeverything.com.
When you make a purchase through our affiliate links, you're also supporting this podcast.
And we thank you for your support.
Now back to my 1990 conversation with Bob Feller.
You got one very famous picture now. Probably won't be able to turn to it now while I'm talking about the Babe Ruth picture, where he's leaning. Is that your bat?
That's my bat. Babe Ruth has. We were playing a game in Yankee Stadium in April 1948 when Babe Ruth arrived in Yankee Stadium for his last appearance in Yankee uniform, saluting the flag of our nation and also giving a little short talk. He was very hoarse. He had cancer of the throat and he had terminal cancer. Died 2 months later. He was very thin, and he started to walk up the steps in our dugout at third base, and I was pitching that day, and my bat was in the rack. Eddie Robinson grabbed it to help him up the steps and then give him something to steady himself as he went to home plate. When he returned, Eddie helped him down the steps, helped him up the runway, and took the bat and put it in his locker when they got into the clubhouse, and didn't tell me about it until 35 years later, and that bat now is in existence in a private museum. My bat, I had to send the bat boy for another bat. I thought somebody just what we say, appropriated the item before I came to bat. And of course, my name was on the bat. It's a Babe Ruth model, what they call an 016. And of course, I wish I could have used it like Babe did, which I didn't.
Bill, the original title that I had in mind was Still Pitching Bob Feller, and we changed it to Now Pitching. But the reason that occurred to me is because at age 71, Bob Feller is still pitching.
That's incredible. You know, I was going to mention something else. You've got a lot of stories in here about one of my favorite people from all time, because I grew up as a Cubs fan listening to the Cubs on the radio, Lou Boudreau.
Oh, Lou Boudreau, of course, is a great friend of mine. I've seen him within the last month at a baseball card show, and also he's with me in the Indian Fantasy Camp in Tucson in late January. And Lou is getting around pretty good. He's a year and a half older than I am. He has a little leg problem in his knee because he was a great basketball player and a great shortstop and a very fine manager, and probably the best playing manager that the Cleveland Indians ever had.
And not a half-bad broadcaster, too.
And Lou was there as an announcer. Now he's, of course, retired from broadcasting. He's there over 25 years, I think 27 or 28 years, and a good one, a good analyst. Of course, I remember I was a Cub fan as a kid when two things happened. First of all, I started listening to Bob Elson, who was a very famous announcer in Chicago for both the Cubbies and the White Sox. Started listening to him in 1929 out there on a farm in Iowa when he had to put the headsets on the old Crystal set with about 9 dials, put it in a dishpan on the kitchen table, and had to get enough volume your family could sit around it and hear. And of course, Ronald Reagan started doing the rebroadcast of the games off the ticker tape in Des Moines, and I got to know him there at WHO. And of course, I've been a friend of his for many years. I was a kid in the Sandlots and got to know him, and then and throughout his life as a movie star and as a politician, the governor and president, why, we've been very good friends for years, and we get to see each other. In fact, I had lunch with him about 2 months ago in Los Angeles.
Can you believe it's been 50 years since your opening day no-hitter?
Well, Bill, that was commemorated on the 13th of April in Chicago with my wife, Ann, was there. My sister, Marguerite, who lives in the Chicago area. Marguerite was there with our parents in 1940 when they came in from Iowa to see the opening day, that cold gray, Norway gray day, Comiskey Park, the wind coming off Lake Michigan in the 40s and getting colder. And I got the bases full in the second or third inning and struck out the hitter. Nothing happened until we got a run. My roommate, Jeff Heath, hit a single, and my catcher, Hemsley, tripled up the alley in right center and got 1 run. Ninth inning, nothing happened until then, and I walked to Luke Appling, who's a very fine hitter, led the American League in hitting, 388 one year, and I walked him purposely after I had 2 strikes on him. He fouled off about 5 pitches, and I walked him pitch to Taft Wright, who played with Washington. Good hitter, tough hitter. Hit a hard hit ground ball to the left of the second baseman, Ray Mack, who knocked it down, grabbed it barehanded, and fired it to first, final out. And that was a big day. Only 14,000 people were there.
But there's probably 114,000 who say they were there.
You know, a funny thing about that, they gave free tickets to everybody that could produce the ticket that saw that game in 1940. No one brought them, but a lot of people were there that saw the game. They said, there's no way I'm going to take that ticket out of my house. They bought a ticket.
Bob Feller died in 2010, just after his 92nd birthday. Now you can get your copy of Now Pitching Bob Feller by tapping the link in our show notes, by clicking the link in the description below if you're watching this on YouTube, or by going to our website, heardeverything.com. We may earn an Amazon commission if you make a purchase. HeardEverything.com is where you can also find my 1994 conversation with former St. Louis Cardinals Hall of Famer Bob Gibson.
When they mention me, they usually mention Drysdale. But I was the meaner of the two, just the way I looked on the mound. Well, I'm not so sure that I looked any meaner than Drysdale.
And my 1988 conversation with the last pitcher to win 30 games in a season, Denny McLain.
You've got to have everything in place every time you go out there to win 30. You got to be lucky. You got to get all the breaks. They've got to score runs for you early. All of those things will make you have a good year.
And of course, we post new episodes of Now I've Heard Everything every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and you can find us wherever you find podcasts. Thank you so much for listening. Next time on Now I've Heard Everything. For many years, you listened to him on the radio or you saw him on TV talking about medical issues, explaining health and medicine in understandable ways. Well, next time we'll revisit my 2004 interview with Dr. Dean Edell.
We've become neurotic. We are walking around afraid. I think the first thing to do to be healthy about how you take care of yourself is to calm down.
That's next time. Now I've heard everything. I'm Bill Thompson.